Hey everybody, welcome back to another iArcade Game Days. I'm your host, Michael, executive producer here at iArcade. All right, so chat's already popped off. I like it. So hi, happy Friday, everybody. TGIF, right? So hope you've had a great week. It's snowing here in Chicago, so here we are, right? So it's always cold here. Yeah. Anyway, today is going to be a pretty easy day, pretty quick. Nothing too crazy today. No new release today, so I'm not going to get your hopes up on that. There is no game releasing today. However, stay tuned to see what other things we got hiding up our sleeves right now, right? So we've got some fun things planned for today's episode. I shouldn't even say planned because it's very ad hoc, as always with me, because I got a lot of stuff going on my plate right now. So it's hard to do the show at the same time, but we're here to say hi and just talk to you guys in the community as always. So let's get to it, right? So the first thing that we'll go over is, of course, the thing that was revealed last week to some people, right? Let's slip a little bit too, which is totally fine because we let another company reveal their game on our system for us, right? Which is great too. And some of you caught it. If not, here's probably what you've missed beyond that. So just like the picture for this episode, right? So a lot of people saw this last week that kind of popped out and surfaced, right? So this is from a studio called Vanilla Gaming Company, right? So they are now partnered with us and licensed for a game called Retro Knockout, right? So VanillaBeast Retro Knockout to be specific, right? So there is a key feature for VanillaBeast. But yeah, so a lot of you saw this cab and things like that too. So figured that I would talk about that, right? Because I know you all have questions on that, right? So, but before we get into all that too, let's actually show off this game. So in case you haven't seen it, this is VanillaBeast Retro Knockout, a game that is coming to iArcade later on this year, not today, by a long shot, right? So no, it is planned for release on Steam and then shortly after us as well too, right? So let's get to this video here. Let me find it. I'm so good and so properly ready as always. All right, here you go. So without further ado, here's the trailer for VanillaBeast Retro Knockout.
Good training, laddie.
Try to be tough cause you're the man and others gotta learn to take care. Try to behave so the going gets tough cause without the most you can make it. Your test results repeats itself, it really stings when you be. Never doubt that you're the best even though you apply some cream. You're the best.
Body loads. I'm not gonna tell you again. Sit down.
You're the best.
You're talking, laddie.
You're the best. For now, STD's probably gonna get you down. Fight to the end, cause your life will depend on the drugs that you have inside you. Game's gonna be lit. Try not to quit.
You've had one thought, one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted. One moment. Would you capture it or just let it slip? Vanilla thinks he's coming for me. I'm coming for him. Let's get it on!
Best for now. STD's probably gonna get you down. You're the best for now.
So there you have it. In case you haven't seen it yet, that is VanillaBeast Retro Knockout coming to iArcade later on this year. So right now they're planning for the Steam release. However, we're working with them for their Kickstarter campaign as well too. So the game itself, they're a very small studio. It's actually only 3 people as far as I know, right? So shout out to Vanilla Gaming Company. If they're watching right now, hey Neil. Neil was actually supposed to be on today, but we'll have him on later on closer to release date, right? So we'll have the lead developer on then. But beyond that, so they were talking about their Kickstarter last week. They wanted to announce it. So I actually have a link to their Kickstarter down below. So there's actually a notify me button for the Kickstarter. So in case you are interested in that, it's right there for you, right down below me right here too. Like and subscribe as always, right? So this is YouTube. Here we go, right? Or Facebook if you're watching there. However, if you're on Facebook, go to YouTube to click the link if you're looking for it. So it's on YouTube or Twitch as well too. But yeah, so there you go. So they are doing a Kickstarter campaign, and with that, they did want to do an arcade machine as one of their top tier prizes, right? So due to that, they said, hey, we might have another company who wants to do this potentially, but we're like, oh, hey, if we're actually going to license this game and partner, we'll just do it ourselves, right? So why not? So they wanted to do an arcade machine, so we said yes on that too with some of our parts and things like that too. So we already had a lot of our hardware already sort of set out in line for this year. So a lot of you, I know, were asking in your videos and things are showing last week too, because I watch all of you like freaking Santa Claus. So a lot of you were asking, why is it a diamond cab and not a gold cab, or I should say a standard edition cab, right? So our standard edition cabinets are not behind me right now, of course. There's one in front of me. However, the gold edition cabinets were sort of already allotted for the year with our resources, things like that, right? So we decided we can do this in a standard edition format. So because of that, we're going to do a standard edition, right? So again, this cabinet in the Kickstarter campaign itself, it's technically not really meant for you guys. It's not targeted towards the home arcade community necessarily, because a lot of you who are watching me currently already own a cab. And of course, we're not in the business of selling, multiple cabs necessarily to you guys, right? So that's just not what we do, right? One and done is kind of good enough too. And if you ever want to change up, go for it. I'm a terrible salesman for my country or my company. I know that. So it's great. Yeah. Terrible salesman for my country too, probably. Yeah. Weird. My patriotism. Anyway. But yes, so we are doing a standard edition cabinet for that Kickstarter campaign as one of the top tier prizes. They will give more information out once the Kickstarter actually begins. So if you are interested in that, go ahead and head over to that Kickstarter page, hit the notify me button. It helps them out, helps gain traction, things like that too for Kickstarter, which is great. So they're a super good group of dudes. So support them in every way you can if you'd like to. So shout out to them. It's great. We're excited for this one. We're excited for the title coming later on down this year. And of course, it looks like the classic game Punch-Out, of course, right? Very similar, at least, right? However, it's a very much a parody-based game. The different characters that you're going to see in the game are all parody characters. As you saw in my logo, you basically fight Jaws at 1.2 in one of the stages, which is great. But yeah, so very retro throwback feel. I mean, it's called Retro Knockout, right? So of course it would be a retro throwback. The music, the artwork, everything about this game, the gameplay. However, a lot of the gameplay is new and modern as well too. You can check out the demo currently actually on Steam. It's available. And what you see there is basically exactly what you're going to get here too, which is fantastic. It's going to have, so the way that they do their scoring system is great. So they actually do a round scoring system. It is a gauntlet of a game, which I personally like because I'm a shmup junkie and I like leaderboard chasing and things, right? So, but this game itself has a very intricate scoring system, which is great. You actually do have 3 different judges, and one of them I believe is like your low ball judge, which is fantastic. And then you got other things going on in that game too, beyond that, of course, too. So I won't steal too much thunder from them too. And I know there's some other shows coming up next week with the developers as well too. So I'll let you guys kind of catch more then, and we'll talk about it when the time comes, when it gets closer to release for us. We'll bring the game back up again. But in the meantime, there's your news on that. So I know a lot of you were wondering and asking about that. So wanted to get that one out there today. Any questions on that actually too that I can go with for VanillaBeast Retro Knockout? There's not too much I can really answer on that because the game is still heavily in development. So they'll actually have some good news coming up at Next Fest as well, next Friday. So check that out in case you are looking for other things with Vanilla Gaming Company and VanillaBeast Retro Knockout. Do pay attention to Next Fest. It's February 3rd. Yeah, so next Friday. So they'll be doing some fun stuff then. Let's see here. Standard edition isn't going. Yeah, Big Eddie's saying standard edition isn't going to be left behind. They're still investing in this model. Yeah, we've said that since the start, since our gold editions came out. Our standard edition units are not getting left in the dust too. There's clearly differences in the features, right? So we've been totally transparent and honest about that, right? So clearly there's the 2 USB ports in the front. Light guns, especially, I know, are the big thing that everybody's looking for right now too. We'll get into that a little bit later today too. And of course, so standard edition cabinets, we cannot plug in light guns because there's not a USB port on that currently, right? So that's how that goes. But beyond that one feature, the only other things you're missing out on, of course, are, the lit marquee, JBL sound. It is a very different machine. The games, however, can be played on both systems the exact same way, outside of the exception of a light gun game that's been announced, which will be Operation Wolf when it does release. But Operation Wolf will still be available on the standard edition cabinets in form of a joystick and buttons. So you can actually play it. We have converted the game as well to play with a joystick and buttons alongside light gun as well too. And even if you have a light gun plugged into a gold edition, you can actually play with the joystick and buttons at the same time. So interestingly enough. But yes, we do not plan on leaving those machines behind. So no worries there. You're still going to have access to the exact same games library as the gold editions. But clearly I do understand. Again, I will never tell you that a light gun game is going to play just as well with the joystick and buttons. We try our best, but clearly I would never make that claim that it's going to be, the same experience, right? Let's see here. Questions, other questions, and things that I can get to about Retro Knockout. But yes, coming later on this year. So, and we'll talk more about it later on. Cast of 30 characters though, so I'm excited for that. Yep, yeah, you guys asked for it, we got it. So, might have had it a little bit before the community pulled it up, but that's okay. Shout out to you guys for always keeping us on our toes. Especially shout out to Prince, who I just had up there just a second ago too, because that man campaigns just as much as I do for the system. And he doesn't get paid for it, which is insane, right? Maybe one day. We'll see. Let me see here. Other questions I can look at right now on this game. Oh, here's actually a question on a different game that I will pull up because I've sort of addressed this in the past. And I think I looked at this recently again too. Can Rally Big Run please change controls so that you can hold a button instead of forward on joystick? Sorry for the caps. If the version that you have does not play that way currently as well, there may be an updated version. If not, I will look into this as soon as I can because I have looked at it into the past and I believe that I did put out an update to do just this. However, don't quote me on that. Let me look into this for sure. But I do see this as a concern from the past that we sort of brought up before too. So yeah, let me look into that if it's not currently there. Yeah, what I would suggest if you don't see an update for some reason, definitely make sure that you have the most recent version of the game installed, which you can simply remove your current game from storage and then reinstall Jalico Rally Big Run. And it will have the most updated version no matter what. So with that, you can try the button setups. Even if they're not labeled, I would try all the buttons, honestly, just in case. However, stay tuned on that one. Let me look into that. But yep, I see that all the time. I shouldn't say that all the time, but we used to say that more often, of course, when the game was first releasing. But yeah, let me see here. Other things I can get to right now. I always like when I can't see like emojis or like emotes and stuff like that too, and I just get things like this, like Raven's putting cat orange whistling in the chat. This is my favorite thing. Sorry to sidetrack there. You see here, other things I can get to, especially pertaining to Retro Knockout. We'll move on after that too. Let me see here. Goofyfoot asking, actually, I see a question above this. I'll get to Bonnie in just a second too. What's with the no-name leaderboard? What do we need to do to get this fixed? Yeah, so no name on the Wizard of Walls leaderboard specifically, I believe is what you're talking about. So this is the same issue that is with the unregistered nicknames, essentially, that you'll see on some leaderboards on some machines. This is an error that we're still working to fix currently too, due to the way that we actually generate the nicknames, the device IDs together, pair them, things like that, right? So it's due to a different device ID with the same nickname kind of thing. It's something we've been working on very quickly to resolve. However, in the meantime, we can fix this manually. We've done this for a lot of people already too. So if you do have this issue happening, we need the device ID that this is occurring on, your account, your intended nickname that's on your account, and that's it. So go ahead and send that to contact@iiRcade.com. All you need to do is say, hey, I'm appearing as no name on Wizard of Walls, or I'm appearing as unregistered on leaderboard. Give us your nickname that's tied to the account email, as well as the device ID, and we can take care of that right away for you. Yep. Do that manually. Let me see. Bonnie is asking here, what about Bluetooth gun on standard edition? Yeah, so unfortunately, Bonnie, Bluetooth light guns don't really exist yet. They're being developed and worked on by some companies that we know of. However, there's nothing that's really available to the current market that works properly, essentially, for Bluetooth. There's a lot of data that goes in. So a light gun, in case you didn't know, let me explain a light gun. A standard light gun, at least in today's day and age, right? So you're not talking like a Nintendo Entertainment System light gun from back in the day with Duck Hunt and stuff, but modern day light guns such as Sinden, who were able to use their open source drivers on our system, right? So a Sinden light gun, say, it acts as a camera. So a camera that looks at a portion of the screen, right, which is that whiteboard that you see for our games too. That's due to Sinden specifically. Some things like Gun for IR use infrared technology. That's IR, right, for the infrared. However, they use little borders that there's additional hardware that goes in the corners of your screen for them, right? So that's how they pick up their data. However, either way, these are both cameras that work in by picking up data that's read then by the controller, which is the gun, right? That itself has a board inside of it, which then converts that to our system, right, through the drivers and makes our machine understand it, right? So a driver for a machine is just another term that tells a machine what to do. It's called a driver because it commands the machine, right? So that's what a driver is. So due to that, there's a lot of data going in through light guns, through that camera specifically, right? Not the button inputs necessarily, because that's just a single input. However, things like the camera data that is trying to look out and it's trying to read that data and it's trying to get that data back in, right? So that's what it's looking for. So because of that, there's a lot of things going on. So Bluetooth doesn't work so well for that due to the amount of data specifically that's going on, right? So it's a very difficult task. Technology's come a long way and it's potentially possible. I won't say it's impossible for sure. However, that's currently sort of like what's going on with Bluetooth light guns, right? So I'm sure that some company will resolve that at some point. When that is, I don't know. We're not looking into that ourselves. However, if there is a Bluetooth option that becomes available for light guns, of course, we will try to contact that company and get in touch with them and see what we can do if we can get those drivers working on our system for our light gun games as well. So that's for the standard edition specifically, right? So, however, just currently, it's not an option. So unfortunately, I wish I had better news for you. It's just how it is. Again, we are not necessarily a hardware company, even though we do make our own boards in-house and things like that too. We're mostly a software company. So, and we don't really intend to go into depth for controllers like that. That's why we partner with companies like GRS, right? So who want to do that kind of stuff too, and who have the passion to do that. And they are blessed that they want to work with us, right? So it's great. So we're excited for the kind of that stuff, but we're not intending to make our own light guns probably ever, honestly. All right. It's a good question, though. It's a great question. Let me see here. Aha, here's an actual VanillaBeast Retro Knockout question that I haven't got to. So Brian's asking, do you know yet if any of the other fighters will be unlockable and playable or just the one vanilla guy? I don't have that information for you offhand. I would maybe expect more. However, I believe most of the characters are related to fighters as your opponents and not your actual character, because the game is called VanillaBeast Retro Knockout. So VanillaBeast is the main character in the game. As far as I know, that's the only intended character, but I don't know. So that's definitely a question for Vanilla Gaming Company. And whenever we get those guys on too, we'll talk about that for sure. So save that for a later date for sure. Keep that in mind, but I don't want to give you information that I don't really know offhand right now. That is a great question, though, too. I would love to. Maybe I can play as Jaws. Maybe you can fight as the shark itself. Instead of fighting the shark, you fight as the shark. I would love to do that. Anyway, as wacky and wild as that game can get, in my book, is the better. I love it. But that's up to the developer. Let's see here. It's a great question, though. You actually get to box Jaws. It's pretty funny. Yeah, it's actually on their Steam page currently. That is an actual screenshot from the game. That is an actual part of the game. I don't know if it's necessarily called Jaws. That's just what I call it. But let me see here. Any other questions before I move on to the next topic, especially those related to VanillaBeast, their Kickstarter, and our machine coming out for them later on this year? But again, that's that Kickstarter and that prize tier isn't necessarily meant for you guys who already have a machine, right? So we're not trying to resell you a new machine because they all do the same thing, right? So you do not have to buy that machine. However, if you do like that look in that model or you don't own one yet, it's definitely something to look into for you because it's going to be a fantastic looking cab, 100%. Still subject to change with the images that were shown for that cabinet. However, generally speaking, it's going to look about like that. Let's see. It's a good question too for system or game updates, right? So, Dave, it's Dave. I've done this before, right? Because it's Dave. It's Dave. When a game shows needing an update in app, does it happen automatically, or do we need to manually remove and install? So, how it's intended to work, yes, is if it does say you don't really have to go through the app and look for updates and stuff like that too. What happens is when you launch the game or try to launch the game, it prompts you with the message that says, hey, a new update's available. Do you want to take this update? Yes or no? And you can choose from there to update or not. It's rare that we force updates. There's certain occasions that we have forced updates in the past, such as Gunbird. Shout out to Rainwater if he's watching right now too, because he caught early on in Gunbird, there's a very mature rated scene that we didn't even catch in testing because there's different partner pairings and there's a lot of different variables that go into that, right? So there's a lot of different pairings that you can do in that game between the characters. And one of them is a very mature rated scene with some nudity in it. So we had to retroactively force an update on that game to update to the mature content rating for that game because it was originally E. So yeah, if you're going to update a game, simply try to launch the game. And if it has an update, it'll prompt you with that. You can always, if that somehow for some reason is failing for you too, you can always uninstall the game and reinstall it. And you will always have the most updated version at that point. Yes, no matter what, 100%. The server itself basically maintains that version, the most updated version itself, and no others beyond that. Okay, it's a great question too. Randy's at, so this is one thing too that I haven't gotten to. So Randy is asking, do we know what the price for Retro Knockout will be as of yet? It says, so for the game, I actually don't know. And we also don't have information yet on the pricing tier for Kickstarter as well too. So I can't give you that. I know what our price is for them. However, it's a Kickstarter for them for the cabinet itself. So it's always going to be higher than that because the point of the Kickstarter is to get funding to do the console versions of the game in this case, right? So the game is currently slated for Steam and us. But other consoles and things like that, the Kickstarter that's what they're doing it for, right? Because they're a very small team, and they need the funding. It's expensive to go onto other console platforms, things like don't like to talk about other systems, right? But like Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and stuff like that too. It does cost money to go through certification processes for these developers, right? So, and it's not cheap. So due to that, and them being a small team, they know people want it on these consoles. People have asked for that in their communities and their social media feeds and things like that too. So they want to do that. It's just they need a little bit of extra help to do that. That's the point of the Kickstarter in this case. And for us, our prize tier, we don't know what the final price is going to be set at. They will announce that very shortly when the Kickstarter is officially launched. But again, the Notify Me link, you can go to Kickstarter. The link is just below me on YouTube and click on that and you can get a notification when that pops if you're looking for the cabinet itself too. The game itself too, I don't know the price. But again, very soon, I'm sure you will see a price for that game in the upcoming weeks. Yep. Let me see here. Wii remotes are Bluetooth. Yes, I hear this all the time. It is not the same as a light gun. I understand that a sensor for Bluetooth for a Wii is something itself too. Yes, I know. We've looked into these technologies so much. All right. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next. Actually, there's a lot more questions here. Okay, let me see here. Okay, I'll take this again. One day I will pronounce this name correctly. Istvankron is how I'm going to go with right now too, and I'm probably butchering it, and I'm so sorry. I can't read. Yeah. Anyway, will there be an option to replace Control Deck with better joysticks? There was some word on that earlier. Yeah, so that's the Glenn's Retro Show Projects, GRS products, who we're partnered with. We're still working on that. It requires us to get this system update out for accessibility, or those controllers to become accessible to all of you. So we're working on that still heavily in the background currently too. Yes, that is a project with light guns and things going on too. That's very much being worked on currently and presently and as quickly as possible. Yes, we're trying to get that out to you as soon as possible. Once that happens for our system update, then GRS can roll out their products as they want, right? It's their products. So yeah. But yes, those are coming. Those are still intended to come. I don't really have a time frame for you. However, we're shooting for Q1. We're trying real hard. So they've already been kind of delayed. So yeah, so price on Retro Knockout. Yeah, again, not set yet. Let me see here. Okay, can't do that right now. How many Lycon games are currently in the making? Stay tuned to find out. You know I won't reveal games ahead of time. Who do you think I am? Come on. Operation Wolf is currently the only announced title for Lycon, so you will be getting Operation Wolf 100%. Yep. Do we have others? Nothing's been announced yet. So again, I've not encouraged any of you to purchase a Lycon yet. So wait until, if you don't want just Operation Wolf for your Lycon, you're not happy with that and you want other games additionally with it, will they come? Maybe. However, the only one that I can promise you currently is Operation Wolf specifically for Lycon. That's it. So yes, so buyers beware on that one. If you are picking up a Sinden light gun specifically, it's also the drivers that we're currently putting into our system with our open source drivers for Android operating system, because we work on a very optimized version and very our own version of the Android operating system that we do in-house. So yeah, Sinden specifically currently is who we're working with. Well, we're not. We're working with their drivers, right? That they've just allowed us to use because they're open source, so we can edit them how we please. You see here. Nix is asking, let me see here, because this is a long question. I haven't read the whole thing. Michael, did you know when playing online on, let's say, cable, etc., the player that joined me ended up with my high score on the leaderboard, duplicated it? Yeah, so this is a rare thing that can happen. I have seen this one other time before, so thank you for bringing this up, Nix. We will look into this 100%. Yeah, leaderboards, there's still some finickiness sometimes that we see with global leaderboards, especially with online play, right? So a lot of times for online play, you're not even supposed to be able to report a score, but sometimes it still goes through. We're working on that, yes. So I am aware of this issue. It is something that's still being worked on presently, yep. Software, there's always going to be issues. There's always going to be bugs to find. But yes, small team. We catch a lot of them beforehand. But yeah, there's always niche cases and things that go through, and we have to look into them. So it's always good. Don't blast me with bugs all the time. However, yes, if bugs are occurring, do let us know. If we haven't really brought them up, yeah, let us know so we can actually fix them, because we don't always know. So we are very self-aware as a company. However, we don't know what we don't know, right? So will I ever rego that? I can't post this. It's the mustache. Yes, maybe later on this year. I don't know. I feel like if I ever have kids, that's especially when I will have a mustache. I guarantee it if I ever become a dad. I can tell you that. Just saying. But will I ever grow it back anytime soon? Maybe. Guys are obsessed with the mustache sometimes. It's got a lot of power. I know. Let me see here. Okay. I'll take 2 more questions, then we'll move on to the next thing, right? Because I'll show you a little bit more. Not a whole lot. Again, today we just want to talk about the VanillaBeast retro knockout stuff, as well as particularly one other thing. So, yes, no game releasing today. Again, I will not get your hopes up on that. There is no game releasing today. 100%. The week off for me. It's been an okay start to the year so far. So we got a lot of work right now going on in the back end. So especially with light guns, GRS products, we just talked about the accessories controllers, along with 4-player online. There's a lot going on too, along with other things as well. Let me see here. Other questions. Let me see other ones that I can take right now. Let me see here. There are no plans for board upgrades currently. How about that? I see this question all the time too. Yes. If you're looking to upgrade a board, not currently, no. The gold edition boards are a very different board. In fact, they have the audio board built into one board is one thing. On top of that, for JBL as well too, on top of that. And then we have other things too. The HDMI got rerouted. It's got what's called scalar chip in it. There's a lot of differences in the gold board from the standard board, and we can't just sell upgrades to them for different reasons too, for hardware wise, right? So they have to connect to the hardware properly. It's a lot of cabling and things that could potentially change. It doesn't seem like it. I understand that. Truly it is though. There's a lot. So we've looked into it. Trust me, when they were first coming out, we looked very heavily into an upgrade option, right? So back then we just said, we just can't really do it right now. It doesn't mean that it's never going to happen. However, there's nothing planned and on the table and announced for it at all too. So yes, do not get your hopes up on that. I will not get your hopes up on that. However, we do think about this kind of stuff all the time. Yes, 100%. Remember when golds were coming out and people were like, there's not much difference, right? However, over time, it's like, oh, there is actually a lot of difference. Yeah, wow. Go figure, right? Let's see here. This is an interesting question that I will take from Everfull. So it's a name I haven't seen in quite a while, actually, too. I remember the name. When you do get a price for it, so Retro Knockout, I assume VanillaBeast Retro Knockout is what we're talking about here. When we do get a price for it, can you add a pre-order tab for it in the game store? Interesting question. So a pre-order tab for games in the game store. Maybe. Stay tuned on that. Not a bad decision. I know now in today's day and age too, especially in games, right? People are, never pre-order, right? That's the rule, never pre-order. However, people ask for it all the time, right? It's not a bad idea. Have we thought about this before? Potentially, right? So that requires not just surface level changes to the UI for the store a little bit. However, it does require a back end change as well too, which gets a little bit more complex potentially. We'll see. Stay tuned on that too. I don't necessarily like to do pre-orders because they get a little bit messy sometimes with refunds and things like that too, because it's hard to, I'm basically putting your money on retainer for a game and then giving you that product when it releases, right? So I sort of become a bank for a little bit. There's intricacies there too. So there's a little bit of safety things on the back end for credit cards and things that we have to pay attention to with pre-orders versus just a single purchase and things too as well. So I have to keep that in mind. We already do it for the machines. I know. I understand that. However, it's different. So it's very different. I shouldn't say very different. It's kind of very similar, honestly. However, yes, it requires back-end changes and things that just aren't currently there, but it's not a bad thing for the future. Yep. It's a great question though. So thank you. It's one I don't get asked a lot either. Let me see here. I've already answered a lot of these questions. Wow. I'm just going to bring this up. Michael B throwing shade in my chat. Throwing shade at my mustache. I'm so glad the mustache is gone. Personally, how dare you, sir? It's fine. I do like to be clean shaven, so I agree with you. But how dare you? All right. So we'll do some more Q&A in just a bit here too. I'm so sorry if I missed your questions. Again, I try to scroll through. There's a lot going on my side of things. So I try to see all of them, but I don't always see them. I watch them in the reviews later on too, especially. You see here. Oh, here. Actually, I've got one here. I'll take the rest of the questions after this later on. We'll do some more Q&A, so no worries on that. But RenaultWeed2 is asking a cool question that I like a lot right now. What other retro game would you like to be brought back? There's so many. You have no idea how many games are on my list for this exact question. And there's games that we work on too. Well, that I work on as well too. Keep that in mind. So I kind of like doing this myself sometimes, whether you know it or not. Let's see. So like a game like Galacticon, right? I think that's a prime example. Galacticon or Dota are prime example of games that are new games brought back in a modern light, of course, too, but they clearly pull from classic arcade games, right? Too. I like those games. I like games that pull from classic arcade games and then have their own twist on them, right? So I like that, especially more so than just doing a one-to-one remake of a game. Atari, say, I don't like to talk about games that we don't have. However, like Atari's doing a great job with this right now too, on their new spins on their old classic games too. They're remaking right now, right? So there's a really cool series, right? The Atari Reforged series. Wow, this is gonna bug me. It's not Reforged. It's going to bug me. Anyway, they do a great job with that too. So yeah, other games that I would personally like brought back like that in just like a pure one-to-one sort of bring back, but like a upgraded version, right? Like they did with sort of like Shredder's Revenge a little bit, right? So, oh man. So my favorites, I just brought up Michael B. I know one of his favorite games is Zookeeper. Zookeeper would be an interesting title to redo. I think Zookeeper would be a fun one. Oh, that's a really good one actually too. That's been like on the forefront of my mind. I don't know why that one specifically. Other titles that I would like to see brought back, especially too. You guys ask in the home arcade community for Afterburner all the time too. Sega Afterburner would be a great game that I would love to see remade just for how that game is stylized and how it plays. I'd like to see that game. It's not really done too much nowadays, so I'd love to see that game brought back and sort of remastered. That would be an amazing one. So again, we do not have that game and it has not been announced, but that is a game that I would love to see remastered would be Afterburner. You do a third one in here too. So let me see here. God, there's so many arcade games that I play too. You know what? Weirdly enough, so I played the Willow arcade game here in Chicago. We have Galloping Ghost. A lot of you know that already too. Shout out to Doc if he's ever watching too. Doc's a great guy. He owns that entire arcade too. Super good arcade enthusiast. He's amazing to meet in person because he will give you all these crazy stories of these machines. But Willow is game one, right? The series just released again on Disney Plus, right? That they just remade. I haven't watched it, so don't at me on that too. I'm not repping for that at all too. But I think Willow would be a really cool game that never really got a lot of love, but I think it's a good platformer. And I would love to not even necessarily do it in like the Willow franchise. However, like if that game got brought back with sort of a lot of the same mechanics and remastered, that'd be a really cool game to see, I think, for arcades. I like platformers a lot too. So it's a really cool question, and I wish that I was better prepared for it. There's so many things that run through my head when you ask me, like, what arcade games do you love? And then I'm like, 1,000 games come to me at once, and I can't think, right? So it's a great question. That maybe we'll do like a whole show on that one day too. I always say this, but yeah, that'd be a great game. Anyway, we will get back to other questions later on. We'll do a little bit more Q&A. I won't keep you guys for too much longer. Again, there's no new releases today too. We talked about Retro Knockout already and their Kickstarter campaign and stuff. Again, links below on YouTube right now too. If you want to support them on Kickstarter for the Notify Me, it is right there. It's available. And stay tuned for them for Next Fest next week on February 3rd. So, yep. I don't have a link to that yet for where you can watch that. However, Google's great. So, let's move on to our next topic, right? So the next thing that I want to talk about, let's see here. I have a list, I swear, somewhere. We're winging it. Don't worry. So we talked about this a little. So clearly we're getting questions about light guns all the time, right? Nonstop. Where are light guns, right? So I will touch base a little bit more on that. We talked about it last week and the week before too. We are in the final steps of the system update to get out to you guys for, it will be system update 9.011.000. So system update 9.011. So that's going to come out very shortly to you guys within the upcoming weeks. Every time we do a build, one thing breaks. It's great. So we have to make sure to catch everything. And with that, so there's one final issue that we're addressing currently before the build can go out and roll out to you guys. So once that's fixed, we'll get it going, right? So, but I do have a video that I can send you. So I filmed this for, approvals and things. However, we can show this off because, we've already shown off gameplay a little bit for Operation Wolf as well on the cabinets here during Game and Brew back in September when we first announced and really started digging the light guns was then, right? So little bit of a playthrough for you because you guys ask me all the time sort of where it's at, right? So this is me testing our own system update and then testing out light guns after that while testing Operation Wolf at the same time all at once, right? So here's a quick little preview of that too. So I hope you guys enjoy. I'll roll this out for you. Nothing too crazy here, but here you go.
Operation initiated. You succeeded in demolishing the communication setup, cutting off the enemy from rescue.
Cool. Yeah, so that's me actually literally yesterday testing our system update and testing light gun functionality, right? So there you go. So we're in the very final steps of that right now. Again, you're looking at within weeks for sure. It's just one little issue we still got to squash with it. And outside of that, it's good to go. We have approvals and things that we go through an approval process with Taito as well too, who we licensed through for Operation Wolf. right? Because Operation Wolf is a title license. So we have to talk to them, get final permissions and approvals and things first. But yep, that's still currently going on as well, like at the same time, right? So, but basically speaking, they like to see the very final result before they say, we're good to go. That's how it works. That's how everything works in life, right? So I did see a question here. Let me see. Charlie Green's asking a good question. So yes. So Charlie Green's asking, will it be just plug and play with Sinden light guns? Yeah, that's the intention of it. Yep, that's what we're working on. That's what we're doing, right? So Sinden light guns, if you haven't used them before too, they do have one extra step on a PC beforehand, which is to set up the gun firmware essentially for the controller itself, right? So that's something that you download from the system. From the Sinden website. We will provide links and things, of course, too, when we do officially release this stuff for how to set this up. It's very, very easy. Trust me on that one. It's basically plug the light gun into your computer, run the firmware update, you're good to go. Set it to blue, run the firmware update, you're good to go, right? So that's how we have it sort of set up right now too, to make it as easy as possible. Once that's done, yes, it's plug and play on the system. For both 1 and 2 players as well too, for light gun games, right? So working on all that stuff too, making sure both players work, which is great too. Operation Wolf is a 1-player game, however, so keep that in mind. Which slot you plug into does matter, because 1 is player 1, right? So with that though, once the gun is set up on your PC, yeah, you're good to go. You plug it in. There is one little thing too. You do need to make sure that you don't do like I do. So a lot of times when testing, we're very fast with these things, right? So when I plug in my light gun, a lot of times I like to launch the game immediately, right? So it does take a brief moment, a literal like second or two before the system picks up the light gun. So do make sure whenever we get to this stuff, plug in the light gun, give it like a literal 2 or 3 seconds, and then launch the game, launch Operation Wolf, and you're good to go. So just as a heads up, if not, it takes 2 launches subsequently for it to actually like register the light gun properly. So there you go. But yeah, so that's, again, me playing in real time. It's literally yesterday. You can see I'm wearing my Eagles ugly Christmas sweater because I wear the thing all the time because it's super warm, because it's football on Thursday, so I wear that, right? So yeah, that's how you know that it's Thursday, because I'm wearing that sweater. But yeah, plug and play as much as possible. I know it's hard to see there is a reticle going on that screen too. I know it's hard to see with the glare in that video too, but it's working just fine. We also showed off for the first time, because I know originally this was not shown off because the functionality wasn't there yet, honestly. But with light guns, you see me at the very start of that video. You can use the right. So Sinden light guns have 2 guns on the front left side, as well as 2 guns on the front right side. The front right side, the inner side that you don't really use as much, right? Typically, I guess it depends if you're left-handed or right-handed, right? Interesting. However, not a big deal. There's buttons on both sides. The right side buttons, the front right button is going to be your coin button. So you don't have to go up to the machine all the time to like insert coins, right? So we put them on the guns and stuff, so you don't have to keep walking back and forth all the time, right? So you can continue on by using the coins on the front right button on the gun. The back right button is going to be your player 1 start, essentially. That's your player start button, player 1 or player 2, right? So your player 1 start button is right there too. So we made that, we put all that in for you just so it's easy of access, because we ourselves, even during testing originally, were like, I don't like going up and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth with the machine every time I want to continue and press play again, right? So it's on the gun. The left 2 buttons are going to be your bombs for Operation Wolf. So Operation Wolf has shoot and bomb. That's what it is. So trigger. It does also work. You relocate the aim by, you realign the aiming. So you can stand pretty close to the machine. You can stand pretty much right up next to it if you want to. You can be seated. I do suggest standing up. However, you can be seated. I think QA's testing in there seated right now with light gun. And then beyond that, you can play at a pretty good distance, honestly, right? So it's great. You do want to mind the glare on the machine. So if the machine has like a bright window on the screen side of it, that will affect it sometimes with the white border, especially if there's something white, right? So screen glare will do that. So do keep that in mind with light guns, just saying. Beyond that, what was I talking about? Okay, light guns, the D-pad, that's right. Re-aiming it, calibrating it. You would call it calibrating aim is super easy. You press and hold the left on the D-pad. Those of you who have a Sinden light gun, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, but we will have images and things and instructions when this all comes out. But you press and hold that for 3 seconds. The reticle will snap to the middle of the screen. You point and aim down the sights, press and shoot 1 time, and it'll realign your gun. So you're good. If you press and hold back for 5 seconds on that D-pad to the right, that actually is how you enable and disable recoil on the gun. So our guns do have recoil. You didn't see it in the video. I didn't turn it on. I didn't think about it, honestly, to turn it on. I should have. just to show you guys. But send-in light guns that do have recoil, they do work in this way. So recoil does work for the game as well. So just so you know. However, Operation Wolf is typically speaking a press and hold kind of game. It's not really a like verbatim accuracy shooter. You can play it that way if you want to. Most people don't. So if you are pressing and holding with recoil specifically, especially on a sending gun, the current guns that exist in the marketplace, right? The way recoil works, it needs to sort of recharge, right? So you can't just press and hold, or else you get like it'll slow down, right? Because the servo inside will slow down and until it eventually doesn't stop. So you have to like press to get the recoil and then press the trigger again. So it's really a trigger press each time. So if you are pressing and holding, the recoil doesn't really do too much for you, just so you know. That's a limitation of the hardware currently. You see here. So light guns are, yeah, we touched on this earlier, Todd. So Todd's asking, so light guns are not for the first generation cabinets. Yeah, standard edition cabinets do not have the USB ports in front to plug in. So yes, they will not work with light gun. However, we are making it so that Operation Wolf light gun games will work with the joystick buttons. So if you do pick up our Operation Wolf, you can still play it on a standard edition cab with joystick and buttons. Again, I know it's not the same experience. Don't at me. I know it's not the same experience. However, that's currently the options available right now too. Unless a Bluetooth light gun comes out of the woodwork out of nowhere, that's currently the options available for us. For the standard edition cabs. Yep. Gold edition cabs also can use joystick and buttons, just so you know, not just light guns. So in case you do pick it up for a gold edition cab and you don't have a send-in light gun for out the gate, you can still play it that way. Yep. Ooh, D's asking the real question here too, because I've said this since day one that I want to do light gun with a projector on the side of a house somewhere, right? So will you be able to play this on a TV using the HDMI out so you can use a larger screen? Potentially. We haven't really tested it out too heavily yet. Initially, I could. However, that does not mean the final product is going to be like that. So I don't have an answer for you on this yet. I wish I had a better answer for you. However, I will test this myself personally, and I will let you know when light guns do come out. Yes. So stay tuned on the HDMI out for light gun usage on a bigger screen, essentially, right? So yeah. Because I also want to know myself too, but that's sort of like a bonus for testing for me right now, right? So when I get the extra time, I will test that. But before light guns, when light guns officially release with Operation Wolf, I will let you know on that question. So it's a great question. Other questions on this that I can take right now. Let me see here. So Peter's saying, actually, so the local high score for Space Invaders, he's asking, please change the Space Invaders local high score from 21,234 to 5,000 like the arcade. It's too high. So that's your own high score. That game itself comes set to 0 for the high score in the version that we have, because we have a very specialized version of this game for Space Invaders, right? So the leaderboard itself for local is set to 0 offhand. So the 21,000 is actually your own score or somebody else in your household, right? So just as an FYI. There used to be, for testing purposes, initially I had a version that we could reset the score in-game itself. That was removed. However, I could think about putting that back in. That sort of goes on Taito's approval if they would like that back into the game or not. That's something we have to check on with Taito if they want to put that into the game or not. So we'll see, potentially. I can look into that a little bit more. No promises, but I can look into it. You see here. Operation Wolf, light guns clacking. Yeah, so you can clap the light guns currently. Yep. Just press and hold that back right D-pad button for 5 seconds and it clicks it on. We'll show that off as well too when the time comes for actual getting that release of light guns. See, Derek Miller, my man, this is what I'm talking about, right? So the NES port of Operation Wolf was joystick. It wasn't too difficult, in my opinion. Yeah, so there was a version of Operation Wolf. Thank you. Nobody ever brings this up with me. that was not light gun. That was joystick. That's not. We have the arcade version of the game that we made work with joystick. However, sort of plays kind of the same as what you might have experienced back with NES. We did play around too. We've toggled the joystick and button play for Operation Wolf. Is something that we sped up the aiming a little bit too, so that it plays a little bit easier, so that you can actually get to those enemies, get to, say, the hostage situations, like at the end of level 2, say. You need a pretty quick gun on that, right? So with the joystick, it was a little bit difficult, so we actually sped that up a little bit for how fast you can control the joystick too. So we did that to a way that it's it's good. It feels good to play. It still feels good to play. It's not too fast for anybody, but it still is fast enough that you can actually get to those like clutch moments, right? So yeah. These are the things that you guys don't see on the back end that we see all the time, that we have to calibrate these things, right? So a little bit of tidbit there. When can you update JBL speakers on the standard edition? So the speakers are the same. The JBL software is what went into the gold editions, and that is not currently intended at any time to go back into standard editions for a couple different reasons. It's a different board. It's a different board. JBL, Harman Kardon JBL does sound by JBL. They tune it for machine specifically, right? So that costs money. It costs a lot of money each time. So that's kind of why it hasn't made it that cabinet, but it is really ultimately, it's really because it's a different board. Even though the speaker hardware is the same, the board itself and the amp on that for standard edition is nowhere close to the same that it is for gold edition, which has the sound built into the board itself too. So you don't have two separate boards. You have one board that has both audio as well as the main board built into it, right? So yeah, there's no plans for that coming to standard. We talked about that on release as well too, that we didn't intend that to come to standard. We looked into it. Doesn't always mean it's going to happen. So doesn't mean it's not going to happen either. However, I won't get your hopes up on that too. There's no current plans for us to do that. Not that the sound is that bad on standard. Anyway. You see here. Other questions I can take for Lycon, especially right now, right? The gold cab is worth it, in my opinion. Yeah. So again, it's totally up to you. Again, we're not trying to cannibalize the standard edition cab in any form, right? So you're still going to be able to play the same games, even the Lycon game, like Operation Wolf, right? We are making it work for standard edition cab. It's kind of like a thing that we promised originally, right? With it. So there's no games currently that cannot be played on both the standard and the gold edition cabinet, right? We still intend for that to be the plan going forward as well. There's no change in that as far as us go. It does require clearly differences in the game sometimes, right? So you cannot play with the light gun on a standard edition cab currently. So there's clearly going to be a difference playing with the joystick. However, it's kind of the trade-off, right? You update, you don't update. It is what it is. You see here. Andrew is asking, when will the developer program be opened up to more indie developers? So it's always open. You can always drop us a line as a developer. So you can actually go to the website. I think the website right now currently needs an update. The developer section shows up as black, but it is actually there. The boxes are actually there to fill in. You can fill out the messaging. So my apologies on that one too. That does need to be addressed like immediately. However, in the meantime, you can always send a contact@iiRcade.com. Those do get filtered. Like if my CS team sees that there's something from a developer, they will push that straight to me. So like I will see that. So if you do have a game or other indie developers that you know, or other game developers that you know, it doesn't matter if it's AAA or indie or anything in between, right? Send them our way at contact@iiRcade.com. You can always drop us a line there. Say, here's a link to my game. I'm curious what the process is like. And then we'll get back to you after that. Yeah. It's a great question. And I'm the one who deals directly with all of our developers. So if that is the case, you will always be dealing with me. So with me, with Minchik, our CCO, sometimes Zhang, occasionally too, but usually it's me and our CCO. You see here other questions that I can get to today. This show has gone on way longer than I expected it to, honestly. I thought we were going to be done in like 15, 20 minutes. So originally, my original plan got botched for this show today. I was kind of like, we're winging it today. I need some rhythm games too. Test 99 wants rhythm games. Stay tuned on that. I'm also a big rhythm game fan. So played a lot of Guitar Hero back in the day when it was first released, right? Played a lot of DDR as well too. I had my Xbox back then? I think original generation Xbox. Totally remember that in my basement of my farmhouse. Yeah. So playing on the mat, the dance pad. Remember the dance pad? It's a great workout. I like comments like this from Phantom. I love these indie games we are getting. Makes the iArcade more than just an arcade machine. Yes, again, that's why we call ourselves an arcade console. That's what we are. We're a console in the form of an arcade machine. We offer a different experience from consoles than sitting on a couch with a controller or behind a monitor with a computer right there, right? So it's what we are. But essentially, we all do the same sort of stuff, right? We're all very different experiences. So it depends on what you want. So I'm glad that you're enjoying it. It's literally why we make it, right? So we want those games, especially games like Wizard of Oz, right? So that game just belongs to be played on an arcade style format, right? So that's what we try to provide, is that kind of experience. Let's see. I've been contacting the team for weeks with no answer. All right, I will look into this, Andrew. Personally. Like right after this, honestly, or else I forget. Yes, I will do this. Okay. Sometimes it does get pushed through our games account as well, too, which we do look at just as much. However, there's a lot. We get a lot of developers too. Here we go. Vanilla Game Company is here. Shout out to the Vanilla Game Company. You missed my comment earlier, Michael. I'm so sorry. Sometimes it just doesn't pop up. It doesn't populate on our chat in the back end here. Wanted to let everyone know that the new Retro Knockout demo is live on our Steam page now. Beta has been removed. This is a legit demo. So there you go. So if you do want to play, check out Retro Knockout, VanillaBeast Retro Knockout right now. You can do it on Steam, on PC for free, right? So you can check out the demo today, right now. Awesome. Thanks, guys. I'm going to check that out myself later on, too. Am I familiar with Crawl? Yes, I am. I'm familiar with so many games. So many games. Is Crawl coming anytime soon? We have not announced Crawl. But yes, I do know Crawl. I know exactly what you're talking about. Along with the related topics on that game. Always for rhythm games? Yeah, okay. I see more rhythm games. Interesting enough. Rhythm games on an arcade machine in this format sort of work. But you might need peripherals, potentially. Depends. All depends. See here. Outside of that, that's pretty much it. Cannot take questions on games that have not been announced. I'm so sorry. As always, that's how it goes. I'm a very tight-lipped producer. You just don't reveal my secrets ahead of time, you know? You see here. I think that's pretty much it. Interesting question that I will take too that I never really get asked. So this is a fun topic. So Ray Commend is asking, sorry, I'm not used to talking for this long, right? With this being an Android-based platform, our operating system, yes, how are security updates handled? Also, any hope on getting improved screen filters and shaders? Glad you asked on that one too. The Donut Dodo CRT filter is pretty great. Yeah, it truly is actually too. I was glad when we got that update as well too for that game. So I'll go in order here, right? So security updates, how this handled. Yeah, so we have a 3-layered system essentially that we use for security. I don't want to get into it, but it's something that we give in like a pamphlet to all of our developers to tell them this is how we do it. And we are actually adding even more security measures into the machine all the time. These are, again, back-end improvements that you guys don't see and we don't even tell you about half the time because you don't even care about them usually, right? So, because they don't really affect you ever. But yes, we do have security measures in place. I won't go too deeply into them. We do use a 3-layer system currently. However, there's a big security update as well going into the next 9.011.000 patch. So yeah, I don't like to talk about that because I don't like to necessarily reveal some things that we do for security just in case somebody's trying to get around that. So it's kind of like, you know, when like an investigation is going on with a detective, they're like, don't talk about this at all too. Make sure you don't talk about any of the suspects and things like that too until the time comes in court. We're kind of like that with security, right? So until the time comes, until it's in place, we don't like to talk about it too much. But yeah, that's in place. So we'll get to the second part. So any hope for screen filters and shaders? So there's nothing immediately on my agenda for screen filters and shaders. So that was added in as sort of a bonus that was like something that was like, oh, we can totally do this here. And we added in a bunch of them all at once, right? So that was an update that we did 6 months, 7 months in, if that even. Yeah. So there's been, yeah, they haven't gotten some love in a little bit now. And definitely something I've talked about before that I want to get love to. So stay tuned on that. I would like, so true filters. So currently our filters are more of like overlays right now, right? So there's like a true filtering, which is something that you'll see like in Donut Dodo for its CRT filter, right? That's done by the developer for the game specifically, right? So their CRT filters, things like Rising Hell on the system, they have their own CRT filters and things like that as well too, that warp and manipulate the game. It's a lot easier for the game itself to do on its own end because of shaders and things like that we have in game engines. It's much easier, right? So adding those into our OS, a little bit of a different story. Yes, I do know other things exist like on MAME and stuff, right? That there's other filter options and things that people have developed. Can those be built into our system? Not necessarily. We've sort of played around with stuff. Can we improve on ours? Absolutely. And I hear you on that one too. So stay tuned on that. Unfortunately, I've had no update beyond that. That's something that's been on my list for a while, but it definitely gets pushed down as we have a lot of options currently. But yeah, like a true CRT filter that like warps the edges and boundaries of the screen. I totally know what you're talking about. Maybe like a barrel filter and stuff too. It'd be fun stuff to add. It's the fun stuff that I can get to later on in life. But currently we've got a lot of things going on that come a little bit higher on the list than that. Yeah. I know you all want that UI, right? So stay tuned. There's always more to add, right? There's always things to improve, always more to add. But yeah, great question on that. We see here. Any other questions? I'll take 2 more questions, maybe 3 more questions, and we'll call it a day too. I've gone on way longer than I expected to today. We see here. Ooh, here's an interesting question or a comment potentially, right? So Dave's asking also wish list during the sale. Yeah, so we know wish list on the store is like a thing that we've been asked about for a long time now too. Even like the filtering option, the search functionality and stuff, that was not there day one, guys. That was stuff that we've added over time too, that like we always sort of intended for sure it was in the plans, but like we had to get the store out and stuff like that too. So something like a wish list feature is not there yet. However, these are things that we know that you want. Yes, 100%. I downloaded games within the top 200, but it was difficult to do. Sort filter to include more than top 30 that exists now. Is there a place to see list of games? So I don't quite understand your question. I don't know. I'm confusing myself potentially. Again, I don't read well. So yeah, you can. So there's a lot of features on the store currently. You can do filter on the top left. You can click all those filters. So you can sort by pricing, sort by genre, sort by other things. There's also just the general search thing, right, that you can type in. The search feature, by the way, isn't just for titles of games. You can search by, say, iRem. If you want to search by iRem, you can pull up just the iRem games for developers that way. Or if you want to search by pricing, you can do that. You can do a lot of things. If it's an online game, we have the online category, but you can also search by online. That works too. So the search feature on the store currently is very robust for what you're looking for. So if you're looking for something very unique and special, it also pulls up details and descriptions of the games too. It pulls up data from that to sort them out. So that's all in there. We did a fun little search feature there too. So that's pretty robust, honestly. Beyond that, the store will at some point get a facelift, and we'll get many more updates that will make it much more user-friendly and much more user-intuitive, right? So stay tuned on that. Nothing I can announce on that currently. However, yes, we know things like wish lists and stuff will be options, easier options for you guys to be able to buy games, like buying them on the cabinet and stuff. Of course, that's something that I want. Why would I not want that as a business, right? Why would I not? I know, I understand. Wish list, especially gifting, it's another big one. I know we get asked about gifting all the time too. Yeah. Again, they may seem like small features. Software is never easy. Take that with a grain of salt. We've also got other things that we need to address very much first and foremost. So, all right. I see other games I can't talk about. All right, one more question. Let's go. One more question. I'll take a good question. Give me a good question in the chat. If you haven't already asked it, or if you haven't, I missed it. Pop some asterisks, some question marks in there. See here. I can't tell you when things are coming. That I can't tell you when they're coming. Yeah. Ooh, Magic Sword. That's a great game. It's not my favorite. It's a good game. Whoever brought that up too. The Real Zim. I saw that in the chat. You see here. Any other questions before I call it? I will call it here. That's fine. We've gone on way longer than I expected to. You see here. Dave, I'm not sure why it's laggy for you, but yes, no, it works just fine on my phone and on the browser for me. Remember that you can always use it on the browser as well too, or a different browser. It's odd that it's laggy. You can always clear your data, clear your cookies, clear your data. Go to your settings on your Chrome browser, click settings, type data at the top too, and then you can clear right there too. Reload the browser, and then go to iiRcade.Store. That will take you directly to it, and that should do it, I would hope. But yeah, it shouldn't be laggy for anybody. It's totally fine on our end. I use it daily, so I'm constantly using it. So I for sure will tell you if it's laggy. All right, I'll take this as my last one because we talked about light guns a little bit much today, right? So Biggie D's Arcade is asking, I'm so sorry. I keep I'm in this habit of reading the name and then asking, and then I drink, and I don't know why I do it. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm not a streamer. I'm truly not. One day we will get you a true host on this show. I promise you. So it'll be great. It'll be great. Anyway, Biggie D's Arcade is asking, are you going to sell a gold cabinet bundled with Sinden light guns? There's been no announcement of that. We don't currently intend to do that. We've sort of talked about that in the past before too, for a few different reasons. But yeah, we don't really intend to do that now. So if that's what you're looking for, I'm so sorry to burst your bubble. It's probably not going to happen. There's just multiple reasons for it, and it's not going to happen likely. So remember that for accessories, especially things like light guns, we're in an open accessories program. We're not the one making this hardware. So maybe we might post it on the site for you to purchase from us directly so that we can say, hey, these products are available to use in our system. Here's our partners and things like that too. Buy them at their websites. And then we link you straight to the website to purchase from them, right? So that's probably more so what you'll see from us here at iiRcade. Will we sell it with those products? Unlikely, currently at least. Yeah. For, again, a couple different reasons and things like that too. But yeah, we don't really intend to do that. So I know sometimes you want bundles, but yeah, we are an open accessories program, meaning that we can partner with other people too. So say we sold with the Sinden, hypothetically, right? If we partner with another company like Gun for IR or another light gun company down the road, right? How would that make them feel too, right? Then we would have to readjust that partnership and things like that too. Whose guns does this machine come with, right? So we'd have to run into all these other things, right? Say GRS makes their own light gun or something, right? And then we say, hey, we already sell this light gun. We can't necessarily sell yours. You're we might have a deal in place. It doesn't benefit you necessarily for us to do that. I know that it sort of seems like it would because you might get a better price essentially is what you might be thinking. Honestly, you probably wouldn't because we already sell the cabinets as a loss leader essentially anyway, because we're a console. Yeah, we're not a hardware company. We're totally more of a software company. So yeah, that's kind of how that works out. So I would not look for us really ever selling accessories with machines out the gate as a bundle, but never say never, right? So there's just nothing currently that's planned. So yes, if you are waiting for us to do that to buy a machine, don't hold your breath. I would not expect that anytime in the future, or at least in the near future, 100%. Even later this year, probably not, honestly, too. I wouldn't even expect that. So if ever. Cool. All right. It's a good question, though. It's a great question. Never hurts to ask questions. Always ask questions. Always be curious. I like curiosity. It's the best trait in a person, in my opinion. You see here. All right. That's it. That's all we'll take for today. We're good. Yeah. I'll leave it at that. We've gone on way longer than expected. I got to get back to work. Other meetings to attend later on today. But yes, so I'm glad. I hope you guys are looking forward to VanillaBeast Retro Knockout. Again, shout out to the team over at Vanilla Gaming Company. We're excited for their game to be on our platform and stuff too. Check out, again, if you are looking to support them, go ahead and hit that notify me button on their Kickstarter. If you're on YouTube, the link is directly below me for their Kickstarter page for Retro Knockout. So go ahead and hit the notify me button. Never hurts, doesn't cost you anything. Just clicking a button, right? So, but it does help support the developer. So we like to support all of our developers on platform. So go ahead and do that if you'd like to. So we can get more amazing games like VanillaBeast Retro Knockout coming to the system, right? So this is how you do it. So we're excited for that campaign. On top of that, you can also check out the game preemptively before it even hits our system right now on Steam if you'd like to. I usually don't tell you that kind of stuff too, but yeah. So in this case in particular, yeah, try the demo out, see if you like the game. So you can try it out beforehand, right? So better than a 30-day refund or 30-minute refund policy, right? So it's kind of cool. Check out the demo. It's available now. However, the game will come out later on this year on our platform as well. And then with what else we talked about, right? Oh my gosh, my brain's all over the place. Light guns, we showed off light guns a little bit too. Again, keep that. It's coming. It's coming very soon. I know you keep asking about it. I know it's seems like it's taking forever. It's really not been that long in the realm of software development. It's really not taking that long with how much we have on our plate for software development nonstop and other projects that we're working on all the time, including accessories that you guys want as well too, on top of light guns, which are also technically speaking an accessory, right? So it's a lot. And 4-player online, things that we've announced. So yes, UI updates, everything, right? So there's a lot on our plate nonstop. So keep that in mind. Small development team with a great install, but yes, light guns are coming very, very soon. System updates in the last phase of things, right? So keep an eye out for a system update. We'll announce that, of course, when it does launch our system update. But yes, and you will need to update to this new system update. There's no reason not to update the systems, honestly, too. It's always for betterment, for the machine, for you, for us, for everything, honestly. So, but I know there's also one more thing that you guys always ask me about. Yeah, one more thing, right? I shouldn't say always ask me about, but more recently you've asked me about it all the time too. And that is this right here, which is something I'll play you out with. Hopefully you'll be happy with this. I know that I am, because it finally gets it off my plate, right? Oh my gosh. Wait. Did I not load this video? I swear if I have to load a video right now. Hold on, guys. Okay, here's what we're going to do. While I load this video up, we're going to play you one more time. We'll play you out with Retro Knockout while I get a different video loaded up for you. Okay, so stay tuned. Technical difficulties. All right.
Good training, laddie.
Try to be tough, cause you're the man, and others gotta learn to take care. Try to behave so the going gets tough, cause without the love you can make it. Your test results repeats itself, it really stings when you be. Never doubt that you're the best, even though you apply some cream. You're the best.
Body line. I'm not gonna tell you again. Sit down.
Gonna get you down. You're the best.
Now you're talking, laddie.
Get you down. You're the best. For now, STD's probably gonna get you down. Fight to the end, cause your life will depend on the drugs that you have inside you. Game's gonna be lit. Try not to quit.
You had one thought, one opportunity to feed everything you ever wanted. One moment. Would you capture it or just let it flip? Vanilla thinks he's coming for me. I'm coming for him.
Let's get it on! Best for now. STD's probably gonna get you down. You're the best for now.
All right, my video is processing. I am so sorry about that, guys. But it's fine because you get to watch an awesome trailer for VanillaBeast Retro Knockout one more time anyway, in the meantime, right? So there you go. Now that it's loading up, it's processing, it's going, it's here. You know, you create a video and you forget to upload it sometimes. It is what it is. We do it live here at iiRcade, right? So there you go. But yes, so this announcement that's coming up here is related to a game that you've all been asking about for a little while since we've announced it prior. So of course we always talk about games that we've announced. This is an announced game. I will give you that much. And here we go. We're ready to go. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Hope you had a great week. Happy Friday. Thanks so much as always for tuning in to Gamedaze here at iiRcade. I'm Michael, executive producer here at the company. Hear all your questions. I see all your thoughts. I'm basically, Santa Claus, but intrusively into your mind right now, right? So there you go. And I will see you all likely next week, I would say too. Maybe we'll see some Zhang on the show. Maybe we'll have somebody else. We'll find out. So, all right. Until then, have a great weekend and game on.